Hello, class of 2025. This is Ms. Schwartz, one of the counselors at IHS, and I'll be walking you through the course request process. Just to give you an overview of things we'll cover in this presentation, we'll go over the credit requirements for graduation, other graduation requirements that are not classes like state testing, programs that are available like Running Start and WANIC. We'll go subject by subject through the 4 cores to give you better information about the different options in those areas. And then we'll talk a little bit about electives, and we'll go through some resources as well. For your graduation requirements, you need 24 credits minimum. With our 7-period day, you have space for 28 credits, so that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Absolutely required are 4 credits of English, so you'll take that every year, 3 credits of social studies, 3 in math, 3 in science, and specifically 2 of those need to be a lab science. You have 1 credit in career and tech education, 1.5 credits in PE, so that's 3 semester-long classes. Health is half a credit, art 1 credit, and then world language, or we can follow a personal pathway instead if you are interested in a path that is different from going directly to 4-year college right after high school. And then the rest, the last 5 would fall into elective credit. Requirements are a little different if you are trying to meet requirements to do direct entrance into a 4-year college. There's some more information for that on our website, and you can also connect with your counselor. For your class of 2025, there are some additional graduation requirements that I wanted to go over. One is the graduation pathway. Typically, students will meet this through a level 3 or level 4 score on the English Smarter Balance test or the Math Smarter Balance, and the Math Smarter Balance. There are additional ways to meet this as well, and you can check the course guide to get some understanding of things that could also meet this. Some are tests, some are coursework. There's just a lot of different options there depending on what your future plans are. Okay, and then we also have the High School and Beyond plan, which is linked on this slide. You used to use Career Cruising for this. You will now use Zello. You can access that through ClassLink, or you can follow the login information on the College and Career website, and you'll have lessons for every grade level. Those are due March 15th this year. And then there's a middle school requirement. You probably took this in 7th grade. For Northwest Studies, also known as Washington State History. Okay, since I know you're headed into 10th grade, I also wanted to give you a preview of some important programs so that you could plan ahead. So one is Running Start, and students are eligible for that in 11th grade once they have 10 or more credits. And WANIC, same thing, that's for 11th and 12th graders, and that is usually traveling to a separate location for some career-oriented coursework. And then we're able to also give you credits for those classes at the college or the high school as well. So typically you'll have like half your day with us and then half your day at a WANIC site for that. In addition to knowing about those, so you can plan ahead, we have online learning and summer school. Both of those are linked here, and those are available on the district website. For this year, you will be able to access the summer application starting March 1st, 2022. These are a couple of good reminders before we start talking about the different courses that you can select. So one, our district is informed self-select, which means there aren't prerequisites for classes, but we do have a lot of information for you about recommendations. So when you go into the course guide and you open up a class, you can see the description right at the top. It'll have learning recommendations about classes to take prior to that one. And some other, skills or information we'd want you to know prior to starting the course in order to do well in it. The other important thing is that our master schedule, so like when we piece together who's teaching what, how many sections we have of everything. That's built based on your requests. So it's really important that you pick things that you definitely want to be taking and that are important to you when you fill out this course selection, because that's how we decide how we're mapping out what we're going to offer. And we don't want a situation where later on in the summer, if you change your mind, we're not able to get you in a class because we didn't have enough sections of it. All right, and then the next bullet point is about choosing the right level of challenge for you. So look at those learning recommendations I mentioned. There's also homework considerations at the bottom of each entry on the online course guide. You can talk with your current teachers because they know you well. And you can also take a look at this subject by subject walkthrough that I'm about to take you through. For English, you will select one class for 10th grade. You can either have Literary Analysis and Composition 2, that's the on-level class, or you can do Honors Literary Analysis and Composition 2. As you can see from this chart, there's likely more papers that you might be writing for honors. You'll be reading more texts as well. Discussion levels kind of vary by the teacher, but if you're doing honors, those are often student directed, so students are leading it, and the discussions may be graded as well in the honors level. Sometimes there is summer homework for honors to prepare for that too. For social studies, your minimum requirement is just a semester-long class of World 3. However, some students are more interested in these other topics, so they choose to do a year-long class. So you could do AP Human Geography, and the learning recommendation is a B or better in your current world history class. Keep in mind how much homework that you'll have per week too. And then AP European Studies is also a year-long class. And that, the recommendation is a B+ or better in your current world history class. And pay attention to how much homework that you might have per week as well. So you can see there's a significant difference already between those two AP classes. Some things to consider: your current history class that you're taking, how is that going for you? And are you needing more or less of a challenge in history than what you have so far? For math, you will also select one course. So similar considerations as before: how's your current math class going? What has your teacher advised you on as options that are best path for you next? And then what's your goal after high school? So you can see from this chart that there's many different paths that you can take, and they get significantly varied like once you hit 10th, 11th, and 12th. So you can follow the arrows to find a path, and then it also gives you some notes at the bottom about what type of career you might want and how that might help you decide which classes you're interested in. For science, after biology, most of our 9th graders took biology. Some of you might have already been in chemistry. So after bio, you would do the chem lab methods paired with the physics lab methods, because those are one semester each, or you could move on to chemistry. There are some learning recommendations in the guide that's really helpful to see if you feel ready for chemistry, because it's math-based, so that's a good thing to look at. And then for students who are very advanced in math and science already, you could look into physics and see if that's a good match for you. There are also electives for the science lab credit. So we have marine biology, we have astronomy, material science, science of forensics, food science, and biomed, which is also anatomy. So there are a couple that are not lab-based, and I just wanted to make you aware of that if you're trying to meet those 2 credits of lab first. So the Intro to Sports Med is not lab-based, Computer Science Principles not lab-based, and same with Computer Science A. For world language, we offer several languages at the high school. So we have French, Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, Japanese, and ASL. Depending on your post-high school plan, you will need possibly a minimum of 2 years of the same world language. And then for others, if they're headed to technical schools, military, or straight into the workforce, you wouldn't necessarily need a world language credit, and we could work with you on a different pathway in the counseling office. However, if you're not decided or you think you might change your mind later, it's best not to close any doors. So most of our students will do 2 years of language just to leave all options open. One really cool thing that we offer here is that if you're fluent in a language other than English, it's possible for you to take a world language proficiency exam for credit. We have an ALTA version and a stamp version depending on what language you need to test in, and you can get up to 4 credits for that. They don't have a letter grade with them, but up to 4 credits if you do well on that. So that's a really awesome opportunity. We also have some elective areas for you. So before you graduate, you'll need to complete 1.0 in art, 1.0 in career and tech ed, 1.5 in PE, and 0.5 in health. The majority of our students will take the health in 10th grade, so I would try to fit that into your course selections for this year. So then as you progress through 11th or 12th, you have more space for Running Start, WANIC, or just year-long classes that you're interested in. Okay, so in your 7th period schedule, you can fit in electives anywhere where you don't have your 4 core classes or other required classes. When you're thinking about what is an elective, just so you know the definition, it is any extra class that you take after you have met the minimum grad requirements in that area. So like, for example, in the future, you'll probably hit 3 math credits at some point. If you take a 4th math credit to prepare you for college, then that 4th one is actually counting towards an elective. So that kind of happens naturally. One thing as well, this is bullet point 3, like if you're feeling behind in credits, or you know there's a special circumstances where you might need to consider summer school or an online class, definitely connect with your counselor so that they can help you devise a plan for that. We are excited to offer some new courses for 22-23. And the ones that are available for 10th graders to take are India and South Asia, from area studies to ethnic studies. This is a semester-long course. We have AP Mandarin Chinese, that'll be year-long, music theory, also year-long, and then sustainable design and technology, also a year-long class. There are some other resources I wanted to point you to help you with your course selection. So in Zello, which is our High School and Beyond Plan program that you can access on the College and Career website, there's often some ideas for what courses can prepare you for certain careers when you open up the career and you read about it. For other ideas, you can get that from the College and Career website in general. And then lastly, we have planning sheets for the requirements and for like a sample 4-year plan in the purple section at the bottom of the counseling website on the course selection tab. So I hope all those things together can really help you figure out your path for next year, and maybe even plan 11th and 12th grade into the future as well. Okay, lastly, now that you've had all this information, I wanted to give you some instructions about how to actually put in your course requests for this year. So definitely when you come up with a draft of your choices, talk with your family about your choices, connect with your teachers if you have some questions about the class that's upcoming. Or their recommendations. Our counseling website has a lot of resources. That's where you can find the course guide. That's where you can find those planning sheets that I mentioned on the previous slide too. If you need some help or you have questions, counselors are available the week of March 7th through March 11th for brief appointments. And we have a QR code available in the counseling office for those shorter appointments for course request help. We also will have lunch drop-ins in the counseling office during both luncheons, specifically on the dates of March 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Those will be just reserved for those course selection appointments. When you are ready to put your requests in, you'll log into student access, not family access. Definitely do the student side. To request your classes, you'll put in 7 credits. So because you have to put each semester in separately, that'll be 14 classes that you're putting in. And then you'll also go to the alternates tab and you'll put 3 to 6 alternates in there as well. And I say 3 as the minimum because maybe your alternates are all year-long classes, but if some of them are semesters, like definitely try to fill all 6 of those spots. Okay, so your deadline is Tuesday, March 15th at 8 a.m. We have tons of time above on this slide that I mentioned where you can get some help from us if you have any questions. Thank you so much.